You haven't heard this before, huh? It doesn't exist. This is the art of the great perfection to help end for samsara forever. It's not in the textbook, child. You can just listen and use the intention to follow as such, accordingly. What you are listening here is not in the system of meditation, of vipassana and kamasthana. It's gone beyond that already. This meditation of vipassana and kamasthana has the mindset for attainment. It's still grasping. This is no grasping from itself, no grasping for the emptiness already. This is shifting towards, is transcending towards the essence of the great compassion. It's not in the same system of meditation, of vipassana and kamasthana. You cannot find in any textbook here, unless you have the great fortune to listen. Vipassana and kamasthana is all about grasping, still practice for attainment, for the enlightenment. Is the fixation to the grasping, which is the cause of suffering, is the desire and delusive attachment that is always there. Just listen, child. In that photo is not the way, huh? Being pleased and satisfied with just awakened in knowing. Not yet, not yet. That is unrealized, that blossoming, discarding itself how it is, emptiness, discarding itself, no grasping for itself how it is. What is it that is discarding? Discarding is on its own. Don't act on discarding something. Discarding the discarding itself. This is the language that purifies itself. It's the made up that purifies itself. Samsara is full of made up. Therefore, it's become samsara of the made up of the language. This is languages and made up that purify themselves. Discarding the discarding itself. It will discarding everything automatically. It will turn into the purification of the emptiness instead for samsara. There is no place to dwell because there is no attempt to dwell. No location to dwell, no attempt to dwell. There is only forming up the great compassion to bless samsara, child. Make it up to bless. And not to be dwelling within the made up. Make it up without taking in itself. It's bygone. It's just a medium to bless samsara, to purify samsara. The made up doesn't grasp itself. The assumed doesn't grasp itself. Use it only to bless beings, bless samsara. Use it and that's it. It's bygone. Not in the way of taking in itself. It's unlike samsara. They grasp for the made up that they have done. disengage even from disengaging itself. The monks ask, there is no desire, there is no one that is enlightened. And Luang Por said, disengage even from disengaging itself. Non-attachment is on its own. What you think that no one is enlightened, you have to make a conclusion well. Disengage on its own. If you think about my, the thought is itself a terminology. Let the terminology be that is used be the one that have self-purification. My non-attachment is on its own. If you use the word uninvolvement, let it be purified within itself, uninvolved within itself. This is terminologies that purify themselves. In this way, there is no need to teach anything, right? Don't give the unnecessary, something that is more than needed. Just giving opinions and meanings, not giving the essence directly. Direct essence. It becomes samsara within the teachings. Circling with studying. Circling with practicing. Studying and then deludedly practicing from it. Circling more and more within this trap. Give the essence directly, child. He said this is difficult. Luang Por said, listen often. It's not difficult. You're just not skillful yet. Just listen. The art of helping ending for samsara from the Buddhas and the great perfection, it will end all about easy and difficult in blessing. It's difficult to bless because you give the difficulties for others. That's why difficult to bless. There's no need to rush, child. Let's linking one another. Now listen. It will reach one another. Thailand, Vietnam, China, reaching each other everywhere in this physical world. Just don't rely on the extinction and the emptiness. Don't dwell within oneself, within the emptiness. Purify the attempt to dwell. There is no need to be fixated, to add more on top. Everything is just discarding on its own, letting go on its own with everything. That which has nothing to do with letting go or not, discarding or not. That which has nothing to do with even being empty or not. It's not a path or a result. Neither is a path or a result. Neither is the practice for the path to the enlightenment and the result. Neither it will become a path or the one who walked the path. That which has nothing to do with attachment or detachment, what will you do? You cannot do anything. To practice Kamasthana or Vipassana meditation is gone too far. Always fabricating, deludedly creating the practice is the samudaya, the cause of suffering. Therefore, it has someone who walk a path. You make it up. Therefore, it exists. That which has nothing to do with attachment or detachment, being empty or not, uninvolved is on its own. You are deludedly creating it. This kind of meditation, that kind of meditation. In the Buddha time, ending is right by listening. Deludedly fabricating all by oneself, practicing a path. Deludedly creating a path all by oneself. Deludedly make up the one who walked the path. That is the samudaya. Let's be direct with Nibbana. Nibbana as a conclusion. Nibbana is just a language. Don't use it. You have to purify it. Nibbana is not Nibbana. You have to purify the language you use. Nibbana doesn't signify itself. Therefore, you need to purify languages. Even the usage itself have to be purified to enable to use it. So, whatever you say, do it in moderation, in a way of cutting, in a way of purifying, in a way of ceasing. Don't teach anyone to become anything. Otherwise, it's going to be added on with the delusion. Even teaching people to be good person is also a delusion. Helping through ending only, helping through cutting only, helping through the non-attachment only, my only. It's difficult. Don't say anything if you not become anything. When you say difficult, then it's difficult according to what you say. If you don't say it, you will not know that it's difficult or easy. If you don't think that it's difficult, then it will not be difficult. Everything is up to your terminology. If you use terminology that is difficult, then it's difficult. You have to use terminologies that purify themselves. Then it will end all about difficult or easy. You have the great blessed fortune in blessing. You are not just skillful. Long Paul give reflection in Thailand. You just listen. It will be sent to Vietnam. Huh? He has no one to talk like this with. Even great teacher. Long Paul said, what you see is not. Tomorrow, Long Paul will go to one temple in Hanoi where Long Paul has visited already. Long Paul will send the mighty force of the extinction and emptiness to purify karma here and there, leading people to be deluded to goodness too much. That is leading towards goodness is a delusion, not helping through cutting, through ending, circling within heaven and hell, on and on, is the waste of time. The monk said, we are exhausted when we do like that because it's a trap. It's a lifetime. It's a cycle of lifetimes. That's the made up without purifying itself. It's used the made up to be diluted with. Terminologies without purification in itself is become samsara. Listen to something that gives ending. Ending according to what you listen to. Don't point out to the front. The present doesn't take in itself. This is not to dwell within the present. This is not the present that is reality. Even the present is not real. It's not reality in the present. Whatever you see, whatever you know is not real. It's temporary existing. It's just the made up, formed up temporarily. How can it be real? Therefore, don't take in the present. How can it be not? Listen well. No grasping is on its own. This is not to use no grasping to not grasping for all things. No grasping is on its own. No grasping for the non-grasping itself. Therefore, there is no grasping automatically for present, past, and future. To grasp for the present, it will be maintaining the knowing, awareness, concentration, contemplation, wisdom, on and on. Maintaining on and on. Teaching that creates difficulty totally, like that. Blossom out of itself, so that you not be stuck with just blossoming state. Being pleased with blossoming state is realms of existence. Cut through it. Cut, cut, cut.